99% of people that train calisthenics have absolutely no idea what they're doing. Stuck on the same progression for months, trying to find the next YouTube video that's gonna magically break them out of their plateau. The reality is you already know what to do. You just don't know how to do it. And so in this video, I'm gonna be discussing where you're going wrong in your calisthenics journey and how you can actually go about fixing it by taking a deep dive into 3 completely different calisthenic athletes who were also plateauing for months. I'll be breaking down everything from the conceptual side of things to the day-by-day workouts and programs that these 3 different athletes followed to finally break out of their plateaus. Make sure you watch the entire video through or you won't understand how to apply these concepts into your own training. It's important that you guys watch my previous video that talks about my sub-maximal framework because I'm going to be discussing its actual application in 3 completely different case studies. I'll make sure to link it in the description below, so if you haven't already, make sure to check it out and then come back to this video. Before we get into the 3 different athletes and discussing their training programs and workouts that they were doing, we need to first cover this on a conceptual basis. I'll be using a car as an analogy to demonstrate my point. Everyone knows where they're driving to, but very few people can make it to their destination efficiently. Some people completely kill the engine, others use way too much gas, and some people's cars don't even turn on. Over my years of coaching, I've realized that there's 2 big mistakes that everyone makes on their calisthenics journey. Let's start with number 1. I would say that 80% of people that train calisthenics fall in this category. They are constantly redlining the engine, trying to shift to the next gear. And if you know anything about cars, if you only shift gears at your max RPMs, it is not good for the engine. And so what is this actually indicative of? Usually people who fall into this category are training progressions or attempting skills that they're not yet ready for. In fact, 2 of the 3 athletes that I'm going to be discussing fall in this category. And so what ends up happening in our analogy is you keep redlining the car over and over and over again, and your engine starts to take damage, your fuel consumption is horrible, and so your ability to make it to your destination is severely impeded. And the second type of person is in too low of a gear and is trying to accelerate as hard as they can, but the car is barely moving. These people are rare to come by, but still I would say that 20% of people that train calisthenics fall into this category. People who feel like they've been stuck on one progression for so long because they never attempt the next thing. They're trying to make it to their destination as fast as possible by flooring the gas pedal, but they're in the wrong gear. And so what happens is they never go anywhere. They keep staying in a progression that's too easy for them and building up volume in a progression that doesn't even mimic the activations of their end goal. And so without ever downshifting to a lower gear where your RPMs are in a healthy range, or in other words, moving on to a progression that makes more sense for your level, without doing that, you're going to be stuck in an indefinite plateau. And one of the 3 athletes that I'm going to be discussing today falls into this category. Let's first talk about Braxton. 3 months ago, Braxton's full planche looked like this. His arms were bent and he thought he could hold a full planche. In fact, he came to me saying that he can full planche. However, I took a look at the clip that you guys just saw and told him that he can absolutely not full planche. In fact, when I told him to do a straddle planche with straight arms and good form, he struggled to hold that. And so this is indicative of the first type of person that is constantly redlining the engine, trying to shift gears, thinking that it's going to get them to their end destination quicker. All Braxton was doing here was generating unnecessary fatigue and increasing his risk of injury. Full planche attempts was not something he should be doing at this point. And so when we began working together, I made sure to stress the importance of banded full planches. I'll throw up some of the trainings on screen that I was writing for him on a daily basis, and you guys will see that most of the training is done at a sub-maximal effort, with only 6 to 7 sets a workout 3 times a week. This was sufficient enough for Braxton to build up massive amounts of volume in a proper full planche position using bands that eventually translated into clean full planche holds after just 2 months. In the 3rd month, we begun working on Braxton's full planche push-ups. because that was one of his next goals with the planche. And so after examining his full planche push-up, he had a severe lacking point in his ability to lock out the rep. And so again, using the same concept, we regressed and we emphasized doing full planche push-ups and locking out each rep. By using resistance bands, we were able to do countless of reps per set that would add up to hundreds of reps over the course of 1 to 2 weeks. And so that gave us all the volume that we needed to actually teach his body how to do the full planche push-up with a hold with no resistance band. And so with 80% of his training being revolved around sub-maximal banded work and only 20% being super intense bodyweight planche days, we were able to get him his first clean full planche push-up with a hold in just 1 month. By systematically finding his bottlenecks at every step of the way and constructing a new training program that revolved around his specific goal, we were able to fly through progressions at an insane rate. Within 3 months, we took his planche from barely being able to hold a bent arm full planche to fingertip full planche, as well as doing full planche push-ups. There is no magic that we used. We simply respected the sub-max method that I covered in my previous video. I'll link it down below so you guys can check it out. And by working in a progression that was always suitable for him and his level, we were able to accumulate the right stimulus that would allow him to make progress. Athlete number 2 is going to be Darian. Darian is going to be a perfect example of person number 2. Someone who is in too high of a gear trying to floor the gas pedal and they go nowhere. See, Darian's two biggest goals when coming to me was to learn the full planche and become really good at front lever touches and pull-ups. When me and Darian first started working together, he could hold a strong advanced tuck planche and could also do advanced tuck front lever pull-ups. However, I noticed that he was really comfortable in these progressions, and frankly, he should have already been moved on to the next progression by now. And so by constructing a program that completely pushed his limits, by making him attempt full planches and attempt full front lever pull-ups and touch, he was first confused. But I knew better. And so after just 1 month, Darian is now holding a bad form full planche and is doing full front lever touches and pull-ups with ease. The biggest mistake he was making was not moving on to the next progression. He was stuck doing advanced tuck planches and advanced tuck front lever pull-ups when he should have been trying to get his foot in the door of the next progression. And so by pushing his body and throwing him into the next progressions, we were able to achieve such an incredible result. On screen, I'll throw up the program that he was following for this month, and you guys will see that only 1 day of the entire week is he going intense. The other 2 days are more focused on volume accumulation and active recovery. It is important that you time your intense days. Most of your training days should be trained sub-maximally. It's very rare that you're training at 100%. And last but not least, let's move on to athlete 3, which is Kevin. Me and Kevin have been working together for a long time. For the sake of this video, I'll be only focusing on the last month. Kevin falls into category number 1. Someone who's always redlining the engine, thinking that he's gonna get to his destination quicker. Kevin's biggest goal recently was to get better at his planche presses and his planche push-ups. Just 1 month ago, Kevin could barely do a full planche press with bent arms, let alone holding a full planche push-up when he got to the top. This indicated to me that we needed to strengthen not only his hold, but his dead stop press. And you're probably wondering, well, why dead stop? By emphasizing the dead stop, we're going to be specifically targeting the bottleneck that he's facing, which is fixating the protracted position that is needed when going from a dynamic movement to a static movement. Or in other words, going from a push-up into a hold or going from a hold into a press. I'll throw up some of the workouts that I was writing him on screen, and you guys will see that there's a lot of emphasis on long banded full planche holds followed by a press. Just like I discussed, this was critical for his progression over the last month. Also emphasizing the key weak areas, like transitioning from a planche push-up into a hold, forcing him to lock out and hold the top of each rep, similar to how I taught Braxton. Kevin got ahead of himself and kept doing 1-1-1 full planche attempts when he could barely do a full planche press without bending his arms. Again, working at a progression progression or level that he is not yet ready for. And in just under a month, Kevin is now doing full planche push-ups to a clean hold, as well as being able to do a dead stop full press with ease. By cleaning up these key bottlenecks, Kevin has now just built the foundation to learn extremely difficult planche combos like 222, 333, 444. The moral of the story here is being able to accurately identify your current working level. Where should you be conducting most of your work at to make the most optimal progress? This is what most people get wrong. Either doing a progression that's way too hard for them because of their ego, or staying at one progression for too long because they're too scared to take the next step. The reason all three of these athletes were able to make such incredible transformations in such a short period of time is because I was able to perfectly identify their bottlenecks, identify their perfect working level, their perfect weekly volume, and the perfect exercise selection that would specifically target those bottlenecks. And it's so funny because each of their programs are so different, yet they all achieved the results that they wanted to. And so this should tell you that there's no one-size-fits-all approach. For those of you who have been training calisthenics but can't seem to make the progress that you're looking for, I do offer one-on-one personalized coaching. Like the three athletes that I just discussed, every single day I'm writing workouts for them that are 100% personalized towards them, their goals, and their predispositions to allow them to make the progress that you guys saw. If you're interested or you want to know more about how everything works, then check out the link in the description below. On there, you'll be able to read more about how my coaching works, as well as fill out an application to work with me. Please note that if you fill out an application, me and my team will review it and get back to you within 48 hours if we feel like you'd be a good fit for the program. I hope you guys managed to learn something from this video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. And also, if you haven't already, feel free to join my calisthenics community server that has nearly 3,000 members in it. It's a great place to ask me questions as well as talk to other advanced athletes. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.